Welcome to Your Mac Life for a Wednesday, September 19th, 2018, show number 1189. I am your host, Shawn King, joined by
Melissa King.
Actually, I'm joined. Hang on, let me do this. I'm joined by her own little emoji.
I should have put my glasses on.
Oh, yeah. Wearing your glasses on. We were playing around with memojis. I've upgraded my iPhone 10 to iOS 12, and so I was making emoji. Mine came out to. It's kind of, see, yours comes out kind of looking like you because the hair and the glasses.
Did everybody see yours?
Mine. I look generic.
No, he looked like Walt from Breaking Bad.
I don't know if that's a good thing or not. Are you going to show them?
Don't you think he looked? This is Walt when he got really bad.
Really? I don't know how I feel about that. Monty, yep, that's Walt. Okay.
Yes. Oh, he doesn't like it that there's no
hang
penguin.
on. Start it over.
Do I just...
I can't believe there's no penguins associated with an emoji. It's a fucking tragedy. It is. There's no penguins in the emoji.
I agree with you.
There's ducks and stupid shit like that.
What's that show, Madagascar? You think they'd... go away, little panda bear.
Susan, Gary, audio problems in the OK Corral. Anyone else having audio problems, or just Susan, folks? And Terry said, I thought it was just my AirPods. What are the fine here in Atlanta, according to our audio guy, Monty? Anyone else having problems? I don't think so. Terry and Susan, it's coming out of here fine, according to folks who are tuned in online. Sorry, and Arctine too. So, so on tonight's show, we're going to talk to our good friend Jim Dalrymple of the Loop at loopinsight.com. It is Jim's birthday today. Happy birthday to Mr. Dalrymple. He so he won't be in the show live. He's already off to his birthday party. We recorded it earlier this afternoon. We talked about iOS 12 and the new Apple Watch, and a little bit about the iPhone. The iPhone XR, the iPhone XS, and the iPhone XS Max. I hate the names. I'm just going to call them the R, the S, and the Max.
That sounds good.
That makes more sense than trying to get your mind wrapped around the R, S, Max. That's good. The R isn't yet available, but it's going to be really interesting. As I said with Jim, I really think the R is going to be a big seller. Last year, the iPhone 10 was the big seller because it was the top of the line, best of the best. But the iPhone R seems like such a good phone. If it wasn't for the S and the Max, it could be Apple's flagship phone. And there's not a lot of difference between the S and the Max except for screen size. And because the colors, I think people are going to be more interested in the R. A lot of average people.
I want an R. I'm very average.
Now, why you're not very average? You're above average, my little princess, my little snickerdoodle. Now, why do you say you want the R?
I love the colors.
The colors, yeah. I think the colors are going to be a big deal,
and it's not too big. Like I remember we compared it, and I thought, well, that's just the right size.
Yeah, compared to the iPhone 6 Plus.
And I don't think it has the camera's not the like super double lens. No, and I don't want that. No, I would just.
Yep.
The R would be great for me. I'd love it. I want an orange one. If anyone wants to,
exactly,
send one if they don't want it.
So we talked to Jim about that, and then also going to have a review of CleanMyMac 10 from the folks at MacPaw. We've also got 5 copies of CleanMyMac 10 to give away to lucky listeners on the show. So if you haven't yet gone to our website at yourmaclifeshow.com, right there at the top of the page, in the middle of the screen, it'll say Friends of YML Contest Entry Form. You fill that out and make sure you got the correct email address there, and that sends me an email automatically, and I drop your name into our virtual hat that we'll do a drawing later on tonight for a copy of CleanMyMac 10 from MacPaw. But if you're a subscriber to Your Mac Life, and we really would like you to be a subscriber, please. That's how I pay for an orange iPhone R for my wife. You can subscribe to Your Mac Life on the website, yourmaclifeshow.com. On the left-hand side, you can click on the option to subscribe for 5, 2, 10, 15, whatever amount of money you want a month. Or you can just click on Buy Me a Coffee. There's this new thing called Ko-fi.com, Ko-fi, and you can just send someone $3. Just send them $3. And it's popular all over the place. It's kind of interesting.
So you mean you can just, so someone will pick up their phone and they'll see someone's bought them a coffee?
Yes, exactly. I think it's kind of an interesting concept that you would. I'm just going to show this, and as usual, I'm going to cover my wife's beautiful face as I do this. Here on the left-hand side, right there. On the left-hand side of the page, you'll see. Oh, isn't that interesting? Hang on. During the show, there it is. So here it says subscribe to YML, and then it says buy me a coffee underneath it. And when you click on the link, it just pops up, goes this ko-fi.com, Ko-fi, and then buy a coffee for Shawn King. One coffee, $3 each.
From where?
They send it from either their PayPal account or from their.
But where can you go buy a coffee?
No. It's just the buy me a coffee thing is just sort of a representation of $3.
Okay.
It's not it doesn't send you a coupon for Starbucks.
So it's just
$3.
You're just giving someone $3 and they're just calling it buy me a coffee. Okay.
Interesting idea. Mm-hmm. Sherry says, "Yep, I support artists that way sometimes. It's kind of a neat way to do something for someone in the moment.
Yes.
Like you just did a video I really liked. I'll give you $3,
okay.
or $1 or $5, whatever it is.
If you have hundreds of people that buy you a coffee, that's good.
That's good.
Okay.
It's something you can try if you want, if you so choose. So there's that. Oh, and we're going to give away a copy of CleanMyMac. If you subscribe to your Mac Life, you get extra entry forms. For every $2 you subscribe, you get an extra entry form. You don't have to subscribe monetarily in order to get an entry form, but if you subscribe monetarily, you get extra entry forms. So we'll do a drawing for CleanMyMac 10 on later on the show. In our starting point photography segment, we got a bunch of stuff to talk about, including we found out the proper way to say our hotel name. That's
right, your lovely friend.
Yeah, Marcus Mendes in Australia.
He's Brazil, isn't he?
Brazilian. Let me see if I can't pull this up right now. Hopefully you guys will be able to hear this. Here it is.
Hey, Shawn. So the right way to say it in Portugal, the Portuguese from Portugal, the accent is Tesouro da Baixa. I'll say it again. Tesouro da Baixa. All right? If you have any doubts, just let me know.
So that's how you say the name of our hotel. Now, I'm going to do it again so Melissa and I can hear it. I'll probably double up on the audio, but so here it is.
Hey, Shawn. So the right way to say it in Portugal, the Portuguese from Portugal, the accent is Tesouro da Baixa. I'll say it again. Tesouro da Baixa. All right? If you have any doubts, just let me know.
Tesouro da Baixa.
Tesouro da Baixa.
So now we know how to say our hotel name.
Tesouro da Baixa.
I like the Baixa.
Baixa.
I don't know why. I like that's a neighborhood in Portugal. Thanks very much, Marcus, for letting us know how to say the name. Shawn will find a way to make it sound sideways. Oh, I'll butcher it 1,000 times between now and then. Oh, so in the starting point photography segment, I'm going to cause a bit of a poop storm, apparently. I mentioned this on Twitter and then on The Loop. The two well-known photographers posted up their links to their photos using the iPhone S that Apple loaned them a couple weeks ago. And as an experiment, I showed Melissa the photos, telling her who the people were in the photos or who the photographers were. So you could get a theoretically unbiased view of the photos themselves. Because that's part of the problem of all this stuff, is that if you know who the photographer is, and you know the photographer has done amazing work in the past that you personally like, or someone else has liked, it can flavor your view of it. I think we'll talk about that in the starting point photography segment. What else do we want to talk about? There was something else. Oh, I got her hooked on Lost.
Oh my gosh.
We had a lost marathon last. We had like we've gotten in 2 nights. We've gotten to 8 shows. Went to 5 shows last night. You're hooked.
I've never seen it.
Yeah. Why didn't you ever see it? You were living here in Canada at the time, so it was on.
Oh
TV.
yeah. It just wasn't. I would go home. I had children. I had my full-time job. I just didn't have a chance to. Although all my colleagues at that time were like, "Oh my God, they're off to go home. Lost is on tonight." I'd be going, "What the heck are they talking about? What is this Lost?"
Mosquito says, "You poor folks. Lost is a series of rabbit holes that go nowhere."
Oh no.
Well, TV is. To be fair, TV is, and I've already warned her that I hate watch the 6th season. Literally sat there for the 6th season. All right, just get it over. Come on, just get it over with.
And then was disappointed in the end. So everyone I don't know why I'm doing this.
Everyone was. But leading up to it, it's kind of fun to watch, because I'd only ever seen the show that one time. I've never watched it since. So I know big picture what's kind of going on, but individual events, I don't remember them immediately. So watching it with you is kind of new. For example, the polar bear scene.
Oh,
I didn't know it was coming, but I felt the tension. And then when this thing runs through the screen, like, oh, I know what it is now.
Oh.
No, I know that's how I remember. I remember it like 5 seconds before it happened. You go, oh, but until that time, you and I can guess and try to figure who's the bad guy, who's the good guy. So that part of it is fun. If Terry, prepare her to be disappointed with the finale.
I was thinking, Terry, maybe they've changed it in the last decade just to make the people that are now watching it feel a bit better. Re-edit it.
But it was definitely the TV show that, possibly for the first time ever for me, I discussed with other people. I talked about it with other people. I asked them, did you watch it? What do you think? Why'd that happen? And those kind of things. I'd never done that with TV before. The other thing was, it was the very first TV show I ever saw, because this was the very early days of DVRs, digital video recorders. It wasn't on tape. This was on my, in the States when I saw it, so it was on my TiVo. This was the first TV show. I'm sitting there, I'm watching it, and I go, pause. What the hell? What? Okay, if that happened, then that means that what? Jesus! It was the TV show that made you stop and think. Not just made you think, but for me, made you stop and think, try to figure things out, which I thought was kind of interesting. Now, if you wanted to, as who was it? Mo said, go down the rabbit holes, they had a whole online, this was 2004 when it first came out, they had a whole online presence for the show, too. There was all kind of little tidbits, little Easter eggs hidden in the show. So, for example, if they mentioned a website and you went to the website, there was an actual website there. Like a lot of shows will, if they mention a website, when you go to it, it's just a link back to the TV show's network. But Lost actually built a whole online media presence with the website for Oceanic Air, for example, which is the name of the airline that they crashed on. They had a whole system where you could actually book flights. You know, you could find out what the flight for Oceanic Air was from Sydney to LA and all kinds of things.
Oh, we're not
like
flying to Australia now. We're on this slow boat.
We're in a slow boat now.
So why does Sherry say Charlie? Well, which one's Charlie?
Charlie's a British guy.
Charlie's the British.
The drug addict.
Oh, okay.
You know, Sherry loves
I guess
Charlie.
Sherry likes Charlie.
Sly was mad in love with Saeed. She loves Saeed. That dark, dusky look with the hair.
No, I'm not going for Saeed's nice, but no.
Who do you like?
I like Sawyer.
You like the bad boys.
Sawyer is he's gorgeous.
Really?
He is gorgeous.
Even in a scruffy kind of way?
Yes. I like scruffy and bad guy. See why I like my guy?
I don't, there's none of the women on the show do I think that way of. Evangeline Lilly, wonderful Canadian actress who plays Kate, is average pretty, but I don't think of her as hot. Like, she's
very pretty. I mean, she's pretty and with her little freckles.
No.
Yeah, no, there isn't actually. No, they've got a lot of really, really. I think the little Australian pregnant girl's just so.
She's
cute.
very cute. Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
I've got a thing for Australian girls though.
Good.
Oh God, Mosquito just said, I like Gravity, Monty. What? Mo, don't torture Monty like that.
What? Who?
Monty hates the movie Gravity.
Oh,
Hates it with the blinding
is that the
passion
one
of
with
1,000.
Sandra?
Yes. Hates it with the blinding passion of 1,000 Red Hot Suns.
He does.
He really hates it.
Okay.
Don't get him started on it.
Okay. Okay. Hate isn't a strong enough word, says Monty.
Night, DH.
Night, DH.
So yeah, that's really interesting to watch that show from this prism of 8 years later, because the series finale was in 2010, and then watching it with you and through your eyes, and remembering how much I enjoyed it up until about the middle of the 4th season, and I was just like, "Are you kidding me? Really?"
I wonder if I'll persevere.
Is that where you're going now?
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have. And the other great thing about it is you don't have to. I've already seen it, right? So if at some point in year 4 you go, you know what, I'm just not feeling it anymore, we can stop watching it.
Okay.
That's what I wanted to mention. The other thing that brings up, Mo, Lost is a piece of work that received a ton of great production design and attention on everything except the story arc.
Mm-hmm. Do you think they knew what the finale was going to be? Or do you think they were just like, okay, let's go this turn. Let's just, oh my God, we've got to finish it. Let's just finish it.
Well, that's the problem with these kinds of shows is they knew the first 2 years. And then because it became such a huge phenomenon.
They had to
because they weren't expecting to go so far. So they had to tie up a bunch of loose ends and decide, okay, we're not going to tie that loose end up. We're going to let that one go. The audience got pissed off. Blah, blah, blah. But the other interesting thing about Lost is I think Lost was the last show where we all watch. Maybe Game of Thrones is another one, but Lost, it feels like was the last show where we all, air quotes, generalization, where we all watched at the same time. A lot of us watch Game of Thrones an hour delay.
Oh yeah,
the next day, Wednesdays, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
But Lost, streaming wasn't around, and DVRs weren't nearly as popular. So it was Thursday night at 9 o'clock.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always remember it was Thursday nights. My friends, my colleagues would rush off.
And then you went back to work on Fridays, and it was like that was the water cooler talk. I went to school or whatever it was. That was the thing you talked about. I think that was the last one. Because now you mentioned Game of Thrones. It was like, no spoilers. No.
Oh, yeah. Whereas in a case like this, it's the following day. Everybody's... On Thursday nights, I was watching Seinfeld and going to bed. I wasn't watching.
The other aspect,
and it's true. It's appointment television before binging.
Yes, that's right.
Can you imagine now? I said to Shawn this morning, I said, people used to watch that with ads. You'd sit there and watch it one night a week. You'd watch the show you waited for the week, and there would be ads in it.
Exciting. I think Lost was a community event among nerd communities. Other communities have had more recent events. Yeah, we're talking about TV shows in particular. And MacMan, we used to actually tape stuff and watch it later.
Yeah.
But for the vast majority of people, it was appointment TV, as Mo called it. Yeah. The other aspect of it is what you just touched on. It was once a week. It wasn't a binge. And so you had to wait and think and talk. And that works for some shows. It doesn't work for others. For example, binging did not work for me when it came to House, because I had never seen House, and then I think I saw the DVDs on Blockbuster or something like that, and I grabbed a couple seasons of the DVDs and started to binge watch them, and very quickly, probably after 8-10 episodes, you realize the show was the exact same show every single time.
It really was. It's very.
It was weird disease.
A formula.
House is an asshole. Bad diagnoses. Disease gets worse. House has his...
He's going to be an asshole again.
Yeah. House has his aha moment. Cure. That was the show every single time. And when you binge watch it, that makes it much more obvious. Whereas a show like Lost, binge watching is actually better because the show is more like a movie. It's like more like watching a 2, 3, 4, 5 hour movie as opposed to cutting it up into chunks. I think some things can be binge watched, some things can't be binge watched. Lost is definitely one that's working to our vendor. We're just sitting. You actually said it's going to rain this weekend, so you should. So most of like, can we just stay in bed, binge watch Lost?
I know, right?
We could be up to like.
We have so much to do now. I'm into Lost.
We have to season 3 by Sunday. You know, I'm not going to work today. Have a cough coming on.
Watch Lost all day.
Yeah, Mac, and that's why I watched about 12 episodes of House. Yeah, same with me. I just first of all, the character himself. I can't. I remember in like the 3rd episode going,
he's awful.
Why did someone punch this guy in his face?
He's awful.
How does this guy have friends? Because if someone treated me the way House treated people, A, I wouldn't be his friend, and B, I'd have punched him in the face.
Well, he's one of those characters that because he's so brilliant,
don't care. Punch him in. Be brilliant.
Cares, right?
Be brilliant at the end of my fist because you're a jerk.
Whereas shows like Breaking Bad, I know you didn't watch Breaking Bad, but that just kept. I mean, that was amazing to binge watch because the story was just building and building and building and building the whole way through. Wasn't a formula, that's for sure.
Mosquito, you all leave Hugh Lowry alone.
Sorry. I like Hugh Laurie. I think he's brilliant.
I like him as an actor, yeah.
Yeah.
And then the reverse. Look at Deadwood. Deadwood with Al Swearingen is an awful character, as bad as House. But,
but I like him.
You love Swearingen.
Yeah.
So where's the difference there? Swearingen can be a jerk, but not the way the House can be a jerk.
Yeah, but Swearingen isn't all high on himself. He's just an ass. He's just a straightforward, horrible guy. And he's not all he doesn't have an attitude about himself.
Folks, later in
the
show, we're going to be talking about the photography of Austin Mann and Pete Souza. Austin Mann, a world-famous photographer, and Pete Souza, the incredible photographer, the official photographer of the White House during President Obama's years. And their 2 photo shoots that they did with Apple and the iPhone XS. We'll talk about why I didn't like one, but did like the other. But up next, a pre-recorded interview with our good friend Jim Dalrymple on The Loop at loopinsight.com. This is your Mac Life. Welcome back, folks. This is your Mac Life. Thank you guys very much for joining me here this Wednesday evening or in the archive if you so choose to tune in that way. On our phone now, we've got our friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com. Jim, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Shawn. How are you?
I am good. Happy birthday, by the way. Congratulations on your 63rd view around this planet. Good for you.
Oh, my God. You're such a dick.
Well, you know, I mean, we're working on that joke all day long. I think it's only fair that I get it out there.
It's bad enough that I'm turning 51 and I tell everybody that, 29.
Yeah, exactly. And 29 plus 17. Yeah, exactly. Well, I hope you have a great day. We're pre-recording this one because it is. On Twitter. So the Apple Watch reviews, the iPhone XS Max reviews have come out. Jim XR coming down in a couple of weeks. saw something really interesting today about the Apple Watch, saying that the strength of the Apple Watch are little features that very quietly drew me away from the tyranny of my phone screens and the gravity.
Well, excuse me. Here's what I know about what the Apple Watch does. It does your phone, because you don't always have to look at your phone.
Yeah.
You don't always have to interact with your phone. And the thing that it did for me was stop me from going down that rabbit hole of, oh, I see my phone buzz. I better check. Oh, it's a message that I don't really need to respond to, but I'll respond to. I might as well check Twitter while I'm here, and whatever other networks you're on. Before you know it, there's 20 minutes gone where you're sitting there, somebody staring at you across the table, or who you're supposed to be talking to. So right now, what I do and what I've been doing for the past couple of years is, if my watch buzzes because I have a message or something, I'll look at it and decide, within a second, whether this is something I need to address.
Yeah.
And typically it's not. That's the thing. But we're so, once we pick up the phone, I call the internet the tyranny. That's the way you feel. Maybe you shouldn't be on the internet at all.
Yeah, part of it.
I can see that whole point, but for me, it's more, this is it's an interruption that we know we don't have to do, but we do it anyway, and the watch takes that away.
Yeah, I get that, and I understand that. I think part of that is there was a column on the Mac Observer today. Andrew Orr said, "Turn off all your notifications. All they are a distraction." And I disagree with that entirely. Just manage your notifications better. I think that's the key.
You can't turn off the notifications because it brings on the fear that, not that you're missing out on something, but you're missing something.
Yes, something important.
And so I it's going to drive you absolutely bananas.
Yeah.
So see right away, oh, that was just a Twitter notification. I don't need to worry about that.
Yeah.
Or, oh, this is a message from Shawn. The site is down. And I'll say, can you give me a minute? There's an emergency. I got to look after something. And, I'll go out and I'll look after it. And, then things are done. And all the while, I'm still engaged in the conversation or whatever. So that's, it's done wonders for me.
I don't think that's something that Apple really tells people about. I think they're kind of worried of people thinking, well, if I don't need that stuff, why do I need an Apple Watch? Apple is much more about telling us how cool this device is, how it can help our fitness levels, how we can be more active. And I understand that point of view. I think it'd be a little harder to go in this direction, saying that it frees you from tyranny of the internet or the tyranny of your iPhone. It'd be a harder sell for people. I don't know if I'd actually want to do it, but it is interesting. I have heard you said it from the original Apple Watch. I know Ben Bajarin, when he and I have talked about it, he said they're very similar things, and I've heard from people, and I don't think that's really an aspect of the Apple Watch a lot of folks are paying much attention to.
Well, now with cellular, when I go for a walk, I can actually leave but I'm still connected.
Yeah.
If a phone call comes in, I can take it on my watch. I have my wireless AirPods in. I can respond to messages if I need to. Very seldom do I do that. If I'm listening to music, because you have Apple Music on your watch. So I'm listening to music, I'm going for a walk, and if a message comes in, a text comes in that I'll just enjoy the rest of my walk.
Yeah.
And I'll deal with it when I get home. But at least I'm not rushing home thinking, what the hell did I miss? Did I miss anything?
Yeah.
And, 99% of the time you check your phone when you get home, didn't miss a thing,
Yeah, that's certainly, that's true of Twitter. I have an issue with, I have to read every single tweet that comes in. It just, there's the information junky nature of me. But there have been times when I haven't been able to, when I've been traveling. The last time was Australia, where I just had to, I woke up in the morning and saw there was 1,000 tweets. I had to declare Twitter bankruptcy and just say, nope, can't read any of them. But I always felt bad about it. I always felt slightly guilty about hitting that, read all button and going, I missed something. But it turns out probably wasn't anything important.
No. See, I have 16,000 unread emails in my inbox.
Are you kidding me?
I am not.
I have one.
I have 16,000.
Oh my God.
Actually, let me see here.
I have 2 emails in my inbox, and one of them is from TripAdvisor.
Let's see. Oh no, I lied. 15,505.
Unread.
No. Oh no. Hold on, that's just one mailbox. That's just one mailbox.
That's insanity. Do you ever get tempted to just Command A, delete?
Well, I might read them someday.
Someday.
Here it is. 16,464.
Unread emails.
Unread emails.
That's just utter insanity.
Well, that's not bad, though.
I think one of the most interesting reviews I saw about the Apple Watch Series 4 is from the oddly named Hodinkee website. The Hodinkee, we've mentioned on the loop several times over the years, especially as the Apple Watch has become more popular. They are a very high-end, very, very high-end watch review website. These are the guys that Rolexes are pedestrian. These are the guys that consider a Rolex Oyster perennial watch to be a Timex.
Yeah. And if you can't get anything else, I guess you could buy the.
If you can't afford anything else, I mean, what the hell, You can use that's the watch that they buy while they're waiting for the other watch to come in. It's insane. But their reviews are always interesting because they come from that point of view of this insanely high end. We're talking 30, 40, upwards $200,000 mechanical watches. Right. I don't think they've really seriously reviewed any other digital watch or smartwatch, and they are saying that this is if you're going to buy a smartwatch, this is the smartwatch you should buy. But is that fair, considering that there's really no competition?
Well, there is competition. I mean,
what competes with the Apple Watch?
No. I'm just saying there are companies out there who think that they compete.
Yeah.
Let's put it like that. I mean, I have friends that still use their Fitbit, and they stopped talking to me about it. I will say, because every time they say, "Wow, I just got back from the gym and I did," and they look at it, and then they turn around and walk away because they know that I chuckle a little bit every time they show me their Fitbit. And to be honest, I mean, and I think as a wearable device, there are plenty of that people have. And for me, it's more, number one, it's not a Samsung, so I don't have to worry about they're going to get sued for stealing shit. And, it does all the tracking and everything that I need, plus gives me my notifications, plus, all these new features. So I'm not surprised that any site would recommend the Apple Watch. I certainly would. I've recommended it to a lot of people. And my father just got an Apple Watch for his birthday at the end of August. So, I mean, it's great.
And of course, as fully expected, and as I predicted on Your Mac Life last week, some idiot did in fact throw himself off a wall trying to test the fall detection, and that idiot was Brian Chen over the New York Times, and it didn't work for him. Don't do that, folks. Just don't bother trying to test the Apple Watch fall detection. You're going to frick. Bill needs to jump off a bridge because he's
not on a mattress or something. He needs to hit the concrete.
Yeah, exactly. You've got to absolutely. That's right. But these extra features of the Apple Watch, someone else has pointed out the fact that the ECG is not yet officially a medical thing yet. One of the things I heard was interesting with regards to the ECG was that doctors are going to like it, not because it will tell you right then and there at that moment if something's going wrong, because it collects data over a long period of time. You can show your doctor what's happened over the last month, the last 3 months, the last whatever period of time Apple is collecting that data for, and that's of value to your doctor. This momentary 30 seconds that you test yourself isn't all that much good for a doctor. They need to see stuff over time to see if you have spikes, to see if it's low or high, and that kind of thing. I think we're expecting too much from the ECG. It's cool. It's kind of interesting. Over time. Well, because like I said, your doctor needs 6 months of data. They need 3 months of data. They don't need data from yesterday.
Unless you go in with a specific problem. I mean, think about people with heart conditions that get this. It will be you put it on. And if something happens and, you have instructions from your doctor, if you feel anything, you come see me.
Yes.
Well, then you can go see him, let's say tomorrow. I just put it on today and I have the twins right now because I'm getting upset because I'm talking to you, which I always do. So maybe my doctor says, Jim, why does this always happen
every Wednesday
at the same time? Every Wednesday. And then, you got to think about that. You got to think about things like that.
Well, that's why I say you need data over a period of time.
So you could go in with that EKG stuff and your heart rate and everything else and say, wow, your heart rate really spikes on Wednesday at 5:45. Every Wednesday.
But
except this one Wednesday when it happened in the afternoon.
In the afternoon, that's right. Folks, we pre-recorded this interview with Jim because it's his birthday today, and he's going off to a birthday party later. But what I didn't say at the beginning of this little segment was, if you're healthy, you are right. If you already have a pre-existing condition, then in America you won't get insurance. But besides that, you'll also got a perfectly normal health status and heart rate. It's not going to make this, it's not going to be this magical thing for healthy people that's going to possibly warn them ahead of time. Oh, you're going to have a heart attack in half an hour. Maybe you should head to the doctor, kind of thing.
Right. But I think that this new Apple Watch is going to be purchased more than any other version for family members and friends. That's what I think.
Yeah, but the problem with that is, and this is you're 100% correct, and I think that it'll.
I know I am.
Oh, I agree with you, but it points out the problem of the nerd community, where they think that if I like this thing, then my grandfather's going to like it, or that kind of stuff. They're going to spend $500 on this device and hook it up to mom. Mom's going to go, "Oh, that's lovely, dear," and when you leave the house, mom's taking it off.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so because of the health part of it. I think if you look at people in your family that you would buy some kind of I know the Apple Watch doesn't do this, so don't trip all over me. A blood pressure device.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people. I have a separate blood pressure device, but if the Apple Watch could do that, then I don't need that anymore. And I think that's what people are looking at when they look at, okay, I have an ailing parent or spouse or, something, and we need to be able to give them a way to record what's going on.
Yeah.
And I think that would work perfectly. I think that people will do that.
One of our listeners, Terry Schurter, said, I told my husband that we should get an Apple Watch for him because it now has the I fall and can't get up feature. Without missing a beat, he asked, does it have the I climbed a tree and can't get down feature? He says he doesn't need it yet. For any person out there who's thinking about doing this for a family member, for especially an older family member, at least ask them ahead of time. Explain to them why you're going to do it, because this is technology that's, while it's very natural to those of us in the nerd segment of the scale, it's not so much for average people. I've shown my wife the videos. I've shown her all this stuff thinking she could get excited about it, but she's not, because she's an average person, doesn't see the Apple Watch the way the rest of us do.
But look at it this way. Let's say that your wife or your son had a medical condition where this could help.
Yes.
I bet you'd be interested then.
That's completely different. Yes.
Well, that's the exact people that I'm talking about. People with an ailing parent or something. Those are the people, I think, where the family members are going to go out and buy an Apple Watch and say, put this on.
Yeah.
And monitor what happens. So I think Apple opened this up, and fall detection is in there as well. We can't forget about that.
Yep.
I think Apple has really opened this up to not a new segment, but maybe those who really need it are going to get one this time because of these new features.
But wouldn't that be $500 worth of overkill? Wouldn't it be great if Apple sold and I think honestly that Apple either
your life isn't worth $500.
I don't have $500.
I mean, not your life in particular. Okay.
But what about this idea? I think Apple can do this. I don't know if they will, but if Apple could license the guts of the medical aspect of this and sell just the electronic version of a medical alert bracelet, not a watch, not one with a cell antenna in it, not one you can listen to music with, but just the heartbeat and the fall detection and maybe glucose monitoring and blood pressure, the medical stuff that's coming in the future. Wouldn't that be better for Granddad?
That is an amazing idea. And guess what? They do it. It's called an Apple Watch, and people are going to buy it.
Yes, it is. But Granddad may not need a whole watch thing.
Why are you messing with me on my birthday?
I know. I'm sorry. I shouldn't do that. That's just mean of me.
Granddad will take whatever watch you give him, because he's had a Timex or a Seiko for the last 40 years. He's going to take this new one and he's going to like it.
I have had a Tissot T-Touch watch for about 2018, about 17 years now. I love that watch. It's a big,
I don't know what it is.
It's a big, heavy, beautiful, clunky steel watch with a great big, huge, clunky steel band on it. I have never once thought for a millisecond to switch the bands out on my watch. I never did it when I was younger, when I wore a watch on a regular basis. I never did it with my Tissot. I think one of the most interesting aspects, and Gruber mentioned this in his review on daringfireball.net, that no other watch manufacturer ever came up with any kind of way for you to easily switch out the bands of your watch. No other watch manufacturer thought that the watch was that much of a fashion statement that you'd be able to switch those bands out. And apparently, I've never done it, but apparently it's very easy to switch bands on the Apple Watch. Is that correct? Gruber said you can do it with a fingernail.
Oh, yeah, it's easy as hell. You just slide it in, slide it out.
But what does that say about the watch industry that it took Apple to figure this out? It took Apple to say, hey, switch watch bands out. This is a watch band for $20. This is a watch band for $200. You choose which band you want. You get a whole different watch, or you get a different watch in a different situation. You get a sport band, and then you get a fashion band. No one else has thought about this. Why not?
Yeah, it does seem strange, doesn't it?
It really does. These are the guys who are supposed to be leading us in this direction, yet they can't see what seemed to be fairly obvious to everyone and Apple.
Well, I remember, obviously this is a while ago, but getting my parents to buy me a watch for like my birthday.
Yeah,
or something. And we would have to go to the jewelry store and have them take out links.
That's right. Yeah.
To make it fit my wrist. I mean, it was a whole ordeal.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you got one with a buckle up, type of band. But I mean, I guess maybe that's why people didn't buy more watches, because they didn't want to have to go get it fitted. I
think that's why people bought multiple watches too, because you wanted that fancy dress watch, then you wanted a sport watch, then you wanted that kind of thing. Maybe that's why people bought separate a Timex and a Rolex kind of stuff. I don't know. Was that little tidbit of, why didn't the regular manufacturers think of this? I remember the same as you. When I was a kid, you wanted a new watch band, or your watch band broke. I'm a kid, I sweat in it and got wet and went into the snow with it, and eventually the leather, or it would break, whatever it was. You had to go into the jewelry store, pick out the watch band, give your watch to him, and he would change the watch band. It wasn't something the average person could do all on their own.
Oh, and he had a tool set.
He had a cool tool set.
And glasses that he would put on, because it was so hard to get that pin over.
Yep.
I mean, to change a band on the Apple Watch literally takes under a minute.
It's fascinating to me that
there's a little button on the back. You push the button, slide it out, slide the new one in, and do the same on the other side, and you're done.
Completely fascinating to me that it took these folks this long, and they still haven't done it for the most part. I still don't see the ability, or no one's touted the ability on any other smartwatch or any other regular watch for that matter, that, hey, here's a new band for $25 to $200 that you can put on the face of your watch.
Yeah, and it works great.
iOS 12 came out on Tuesday. Apple's got a very good help center, help.apple.com/iPhone/12. What's new in iOS? You've been a beta tester of iOS for quite a while, weren't you?
Yeah.
What are some of the new things? Sorry, what are some of the new things in iOS that really caught your attention in iOS 12?
You know what? I expected that question, and it upsets me a little bit, because it's hard to answer that question. Because I've been using it for so long that I don't remember what the new features are until I sit down and actually write them out.
Well, let's go through some of them then. I know you're probably like me. We're a couple of old men. Does the Animoji or Memoji thing mean anything to you?
When it's new, then that's something that you use and whatever.
Yeah, I created.
It's cool. It's cool for sure.
I wouldn't even say it's cool. I thought it was cute for the first 5 seconds when I did my first Animoji or Memoji, and then that was it. I'm probably never going to use it again.
Yeah, I mean, I think about it every now and then, and that's about it.
I haven't noticed what a lot of folks are saying is I wouldn't expect up greatly for me. My wife is yet on her 6 Plus has not updated to iOS 12 either, but I have heard there are some significant speed ups for a lot of folks, which is a good thing. You've got a little over 7 or an 8.
Yeah, definitely. That's a great thing.
Notifications. One of the things I noticed immediately was notifications. The way Apple is now grouping notifications together is a big help for those of us. If for me, if a Twitter through all these tweets, now it's just one little square on your screen, which I think I really like that a whole lot better than before.
Yeah, I agree with you there. No, I have not.
The other thing that I found really useful is the new Do Not Disturb, and they showed that off when they first announced it. Folks, if you go into your control center and then just hold down on the Do Not Disturb button, you get a bunch of options that pop up, including one I think is really cool. Basically, do not disturb until I leave this location, which is really kind of a neat combination of two interesting Apple technologies, that of geolocation or geofencing and do not disturb. So it'll turn off all those notifications, but then when you get in the car and drive away, they come back on, which is really kind of cool. And I can see it being really useful for a lot of people.
There are a lot of cool things like that. Yeah, I do like that.
I haven't bothered much with iBooks or ARKit 2. I'm waiting for developers to come along and do those kinds of things. The photo. I saw something happen this morning. It just using the phone, and then suddenly this popped up with this fuzzy friends over the years. It was like, what the hell is this? And it was a video that Apple had created of the images on my camera roll of the various pets and animals in my life, including the deer that wander around our backyard here in Gibson's. Now, apparently, as I asked this on Twitter, that's called Moments, or it was called Moments. Now it's called For You. But it was the automatic nature of it that really caught me a bit by surprise. Does this happen to you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Apple is good at bringing up some of those great moments, and it's sometimes it's kind of weird to see them. But yeah, I mean, it is at the same time.
Yeah, scenarios last 2 months and last year and those kinds of things, and some of them are very well done. And considering this is just an algorithm that Apple is randomly generating, people don't know how to edit video. It's one of the downsides of these devices that allow us to create this stuff, that we're really shitty at editing it afterwards. That's why the vast majority of videos that you see from people who are just posting stuff from on the YouTube. I've got a couple of friends who are traveling now, and they post these things on Facebook and on YouTube. I'm like, oh God, this is painful. Edit. Whereas if you just ran those videos through this For Us, or Moments as it was called before, you get a surprisingly good video. It's not a professional level video. You're not going to win an Emmy Award on these things, but it's certainly a lot better than the stuff that an unknowledgeable person would do with the videos that they post on Facebook or on Twitter or Instagram, the kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of pretty interesting things that can be done.
The best thing to do is go to the help.apple.com/iPhone/12 and see what's new in iOS. Obviously, there's also a lot of websites that are talking about this stuff and mentioning the newest, latest, greatest tips in iOS 12. Talk more about those later on. Next up is the iPhone XR, XS, and XS Max. I'm still not getting used to those names. I still hate them. It should be called the R, the S, and the Max. Okay, that's what we're going to do. It's the R, the X, and the Max. Tim Cook had an interesting. Tim Cook says the new iPhones are so expensive because they replace most other NBC. Do you think it's just the case?
First of all, that he needs justification.
People who want to have the most innovative product available. With that, it's not cheap to do.
Well, why does he need to justify the price? The price is what it is. You either buy it or you don't. I mean, ultimately, Tim can say, anything that he wants about, why this phone is so expensive.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it comes down to what we're willing to pay. Do we think it's expensive?
I think one of the problems I have with Cook's statement is he says the way most people pay for these is they do a deal with a carrier and they pay so much per month. So if you're looking at even the phone that's priced over $1,000, most people pay about $30 a month for it, so it's about $1 a day. That's true in the United States. It's not so much true anywhere else. Certainly not true here in Canada. We pay, if you wanted to get the iPhone S or the Max, you'd pay about $500 up front, $50, if not for the price. It's not unreasonable the way he describes it. It is expensive. There's no doubt about it. I mean, $1,500 for a phone, if you're going to buy it outright, is a lot of money. But as you and I have said in the past, which I don't think Apple really gets across well enough to people, is that it's not just a phone. It is a small computer in your pocket that is also a camera and a phone and an MP3 player and a.
Yeah, I cannot agree more. Really, I think that is exactly right, and I don't think that he's exaggerating in what he says. I think he's being very clear in what he said. And like I said, ultimately, this has to come down to you and I.
Yes.
We think that we're spending too much money.
Do you think that there was a comment that people were willing to go into debt over the buying the new iPhone, and it made it sound like this was like the worst thing you could possibly do. It's not going into debt for a house or a car or a trip to around the world on the Queen Mary. It's just going into, for what is for a lot of people, air quotes, minor debt for a few months, a year, maybe 2 years. I don't think the debt aspect is that big of a deal. Like you said, is there value in it for you? And can you afford it? And a lot of folks can't, but a lot of folks can.
Well, and a lot of people go into debt for a variety of reasons.
Yeah.
I mean, this is, you can't blame Apple because people will go in debt to buy the iPhone. I mean, it's just the way that it is.
Yes.
People are going to buy the things that they want to buy. They're going to go in debt to buy the things that they want to buy. And, there's nothing that you're going to be able to do to decide whether that's right or wrong, good or bad.
Unlike the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus and the versus and the 10, this RS Max comparison, those three devices, is going to be really interesting. And Apple's not going to break it down for us, but you get a real sense that the iPhone R is such a good phone that it could be the top of the line model for Apple if it weren't for the S, and the Max. And I think that therefore it's going to sell more than the S and the Max. The S and the Max are still going to sell very, very well. They've got great cameras, they're great phones and great screens. But I think for the average consumer is going to see the price point of the S and the Max and maybe get some advice from a nerdy friend that's going to say, you know what, the iPhone R is going to be a great phone for you, especially if you're upgrading from a 6 or a 7 or even a 5. And it comes in blue and red and coral. Get the R. I think the R is going to be the biggest seller this coming Christmas, not the S and the Max. Do you agree with that reasoning?
Yeah, the R is an interesting beast because it's not one that anybody has gotten their hands on.
Yeah, not yet.
And it's going to be something that I think will be interesting to see. But having just had a short amount of time with it, I can say that I think the is going to be popular among a lot of different types of of people, younger people, and who want that big screen. Because don't forget, the screen is bigger than the S.
Yes, that's right.
So you're getting a bigger screen. Now it's not as full featured. The high end technology is not there like it is in the S. But you still have great technology in the R.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, you're going to be able to take a great picture no matter where you are. So I just think that the R is still up in the air for me. I mean, those who want the latest, greatest technology, yeah, they're going to go for the S and the Mac.
Yeah.
Those who want to make themselves a little bit different, yeah, I think they'll go for the R. Those who want a great technology but a cheaper price are going to go for the R.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily agree with all the reviews that said people will automatically buy the R. I don't agree with that.
Well, I know, and that's why I put in the piece the bit about getting advice from folks like us. For example, my wife is a perfect example of this. Her iPhone 6 Plus has got a smash screen. I don't know how she can use it. It's almost unusable screen-wise. It still works as a phone, so she can still use that. So she's in the market, possibly for a new iPhone, and the R would be the perfect phone for her. It's got a great screen. It's got a really good camera. It doesn't have all the super duper bells and whistles of the S or the Mac. She doesn't need those because she's not a nerd. She's not a high-end phone user. She uses the phone in a completely average kind of way, just going about her day-to-day life. The R for her, which I think for a lot of people is going to be true, the R for her is a perfect with.
User.
Yeah.
He is the one that you and I always talk about when we say, let's bring this down to the average user.
Yeah.
Do they care about a lot of this, high end? Do they care that there's a new Wi-Fi chip and a new? No, they don't care.
Yeah, that's right.
Can I get on Wi-Fi? Sure.
Yep.
Well, okay, great. That's good for me.
Done.
They don't care about a lot of the stuff that's going on.
Yep.
And that's what makes it difficult for Apple, because Apple also has to put out some very high-end gear, which they do, and these devices are high-end, but they have to make it so that it appeals to the average user as well.
I agree. Folks, that's it. It's Jim's birthday, so he's off to his birthday party. We pre-recorded this earlier this afternoon, so I want to say thanks to Jim for doing this. I appreciate it, buddy, and you have a great birthday. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks a lot, Shawn.
Thanks, man. See ya.
Hello, my name is Melissa King. I'm Your Mac Life's official spokes Australian. As Shawn begins his 25th year of broadcasting on the internet, he has asked me to say a few words to you all. Send money. What? Why not? More? Okay. When you listen to Your Mac Life, you'll notice there are no ads, no commercial breaks, no 5-minute ad reads for products you've already bought or have no interest in buying. That's because Your Mac Life is entirely listed via a paywall or a subscription service. It's simple. If you like Your Mac Life, you can pay for it. If you don't want to pay for it, you don't have to. You can still listen. But we'd really like it if you did. On the Your Mac Life homepage at yourmaclifeshow.com, on the top left, there is a subscribe to YML box. You can send any amount you'd like each month automatically from your credit card or PayPal account. It's set for $2, $5, $10, or $15, but you can set it for any amount by clicking the donate button. The best part is you'll barely notice it. It's $2, but it makes a huge difference to us here at Your Mac Life. It means we can pay for website hosting, internet access, new computers and software to run the show on, and so much more. So, if you like Your Mac Life, please subscribe. $2 will make a tiny dent in your wallet, but when enough people subscribe, it makes a huge difference to Your Mac Life. I'm Melissa King. Thank you.
Welcome back, folks. Thank you guys very much for joining us here on the show this Wednesday evening, whether you're tuned in live right now or you're listening in via the archive. Nice folks at a company called MacPaw. MacPaw is based in the Ukraine. They've do this really interesting app called SetApp. And what SetApp is it's a subscription service for a buttload of different applications. They've just announced a new version of an app called CleanMyMac. And CleanMyMac is kind of interesting. It is an application that purports to clean the junk out of your Macintosh. And by junk, I mean old software, old files, old localization languages, a whole bunch of different things. In general, I've always been very suspicious of these kinds of apps that remove things, especially at a system level, from your computer. Because if the app does one thing wrong, your system could be screwed and your machine might not boot. So I generally don't like these apps and I don't think I've ever talked about them before. Julie Petrick is the PR person at MacPaw, and she asked me if I would test this out. And so the first thing I did was I did a complete backup of my system, because if this app eats my hard drive, I want to make sure that I've got a recent backup. So that's the one thing you always want to do before running this kind of stuff, is do a backup. When you open up CleanMyMac, this is the kind of screen you'll see. It's a fairly simple, elegant interface. The graphics look really nice. I like the way CleanMyMac looks. And this is an app that's generally going to be just targeted at average users, folks who are not nerds, who are not geeks, who are not comfortable with the terminal app, people who need this stuff but don't want to get their hands dirty doing it the old-fashioned way and removing things and having the chance of removing the wrong thing. So CleanMyMac is simple, easy to use. You see when you open it up, welcome to CleanMyMac here in the center. There's a whole bunch of stuff down here on the side, but all you really need to do is hit this little scan button here at the bottom. And it says, looking at, give me a moment. We all wish it was easy as pie. Some of the textual elements of this are quite cute. So it's looking for unneeded files. It'll do determines potential threats, and it will define suitable tasks. So all you do is you wait for the app to run, and it runs in the background. You don't have to actually leave the app in the foreground. You can go off and write an email or check Twitter or do whatever you want to do. And then it pops up with the suggestions it has for you. So in this case, it says that it can clean up 2.37 gigabytes of unneeded junk. It says that no threats have been found, so there's no malware or viruses on my computer, and that it has 3 tasks to run to increase system performance. So let's take a look at the cleanup. So I click on Review Details, and here it pops up with a whole bunch of things. Now, because I know what's going on here, I know that for a technical user, this stuff isn't anything they would actually maybe want to clean right away. This is probably something that the average techie wouldn't do. But if you're not a techie, there's no harm in removing the stuff. You can see it says user cache files, system log files, language files, system cache files, Mac OS localizations. And what a lot of those are, the language files are probably the biggest thing that so many of us have. You can see that a lot of apps include the language localization files for any number of languages: Russian, Portuguese, Polish, Danish, Norwegian, Afrikaans. Now, a lot of techies will say, don't remove this stuff, because sometimes an app requires or links into these language apps. So I personally don't remove them, but you're more than welcome to on your computer. Remember, you've got a complete backup before you would actually do this. So you wouldn't have to worry about this too much. It doesn't take up a lot of space. Remember, nowadays we've got multi-gigabyte hard drives. So this is only taking up 71.1 megabytes. So this is not something that I would be too concerned about removing. User log files, system cache files, system log files. These are things that mean nothing to the average user and really might not save that much space. Now, keep in mind, this is run after I've done something similar about a week ago. So I don't have nearly as much as some other folks would have when it comes to junk. But you can go ahead, and when you tell it to get rid of this stuff, you go to the back window and you tell it to run. You just go down here to the bottom and you say run. And it tells me some applications should be quit. Please quit the following applications to clean all of the related items: Safari and Google Chrome. Now, that's where these system caches and user caches are coming from, and these logs are coming from. Because I've got my two browsers, Safari and Chrome, open, those apps still need access to those user cache files and log files. So if you delete them, then CleanMyMac will go ahead and clean these up. You don't have to, because they're going to come back. This is the kind of stuff that I'd like to see CleanMyMac tell the user, not that it doesn't make a lot of difference, but don't be surprised when you run this again and there's still 2 gigabytes of user cache files and these kind of log files, because they will always come back, because they're a function of using the browser. So it's not that big a deal or that helpful. So I'm going to pretty much just ignore this one. I'm going to hit ignore. And now it's going through iCloud, my mail folders, deleting old mail attachments. It's deleted 231 megabytes out of my iTunes cache, which I appreciate it doing that. That could be old album artwork, things like that. Language files, Google local mail trash, YME local. So it's just a bunch of stuff. And it's stuff you wouldn't really pay a lot of attention to. One of the issues with this is that it doesn't remove, depending on, one of the problems I have is that I keep my system fairly clean to begin with. But if you've got an old junky system or system that you've used, I'm going to run this on Melissa's laptop to see if it makes a difference, because I keep mine fairly clean. She doesn't run this kind of software. So I want to see how it works on hers as well. So once it's finished doing its scripts, it's running a maintenance script now, a flush DNS cache, and freeing up RAM. These things are not that big a deal. They're not going to make a huge amount of difference. It'll make an incremental amount of difference to an individual user. When it's finished, it pops up and says, well done, your Mac is in great shape. It told me it removed 1.68 gigs of junk, it protected from viruses, and it did 3 tasks. Now, interestingly enough, up here in the right-hand corner, it says, don't hold back, give your Mac more. There's all kinds of these nice little tool tips that pop up in all kinds of ways. I've got a notification up here on this screen. It says, cleanup complete. CleanMyMac has just finished cleaning up and perfecting your Mac. So I'm going to click on the don't hold back, give your Mac more, and see what it says. It pops up and it says, review 1.62 gigabytes of old stuff, uninstall unneeded apps. So let's look at that. I click on uninstall unneeded apps and see what pops up. Now, this is where things get interesting. This is where you don't have to worry too much about this. Again, you've got a backup of this. You just did a backup before you ran CleanMyMac. A lot of these apps are going to be available online. This is where you probably got them in the first place. They're apps you've downloaded. So if you deleted one by accident, it wouldn't be that big a deal. But what I like to look at is these apps. And I look at some of these apps and I go, I don't know what that app is. I don't remember using that app. I don't remember downloading that app. What is that app? Windowed. I have no idea what this windowed app is. Well, obviously, I've never used it or I haven't used it in a long time, so therefore I probably don't need it. And that's taking up 205 megabytes. You can see over here on the right-hand side, it says 205 megabytes. One of the funny thing is, I'm going to choose sort by name. I'm going to sort by size. So unused app, Adobe Lightroom Classic. Well, I'm using a different version of Lightroom. So that's taking up 2.3 gigs. Adobe Lightroom is taking up 2.7 gigs. DaVinci Resolve, no idea what that is, 3/4 of a gigabyte. Now, the downside is there's some of the stuff you can't delete. And unless you're, as the user, know you can't or shouldn't delete this stuff, this is where things might get a little squirrely for you. So there's a bunch of things here that Adobe has littered my hard drive with. And if I start deleting some of that stuff, I may not be able to use my Adobe apps. I'm a member of Adobe Creative Cloud. And I can tell that some of these things from the icon. So this one, for example, it says CC Library, and that's the Adobe Cloud logo. Well, I don't want to delete that. But it's really not of much help because I can't find out any information about this. I click on the window, and all it does is says binary CC library. If I right click on it, I can select it for installation. I can reveal it in the Finder. I can add to the ignore list. If you're the average user and don't know what the app is, don't delete it. Make a note of its name, show it in the Finder, do a search for the name. Don't delete stuff that you don't know what it is, because you might cause yourself some issues. That one, CC Library, would definitely have caused me some trouble if I had deleted it. Now, OBS, no clue what that is. Color Effects Pro, I haven't used that one in God knows how long. So you can go through this and see which of these apps, this Beamer app is no longer even working on the Mac OS that I'm running, so I could delete that. Here's another one, Adobe LICUT. So that's Adobe Library C Utility. You can't delete that. You don't want to delete that. So it's a bit of danger if you don't know what you're doing and you start deleting some of the stuff. This is just an install app. Well, I know that is the Adobe Creative Cloud install, so I'm not going to touch that. But look at all the Adobe stuff. AAM Launcher Util, Adobe Application Updater, Creative Cloud Installer, Adobe PC Broker. Oh, good. I get this. No, go away. So there's a bunch of things in here that I don't know what they are. And if you're a user, do not delete things that you don't know what they are. So this may or may not save you some time and space using this unused app thing. Over here on the right-hand side, there's a whole bunch of other things you can run. Stop it. You can tell it to clean up system junk. You can tell it to clean up photo junk. It says no photo libraries are found because it's only looking in the photo app library, and I don't use that. It'll clean up mail attachments. It'll clean up iTunes junk, outdated iOS data from the Mac, the text broken downloads. So I'll just do a quick scan on that one. It analyzes my iTunes data and finds I've got 15.6 megabytes of stuff I could delete or clean from iTunes. It'll empty various trash bins. It's got malware removal and protection. I asked them about this. Down here at the bottom, it says database updated 03/09/2018. And that kind of concerned me because I thought 03/09, that either means that it hasn't been updated in months or it hasn't been updated in a couple of weeks. Regardless, it hasn't been updated very long. So the problem you're going to have is the fact that suddenly everything's just popping up and down. What is going on? Has the video stopped? Has the video frozen for anybody else? Oh my God, right in the middle of this. Okay, Wirecast crapped out of me, folks. Hang on a second. Sorry, okay. Your mic isn't on. Hang on a second. Click. And then I'm going to go to quit. putting and open up Wirecast. Wirecast did this to me earlier today too. It crapped out of me for no good reason. Hang on a second. Okay, so let's try this again. Okay, so now you guys should see show logo. There we go. Okay. Yeah. Oh, if things are going wrong, it must be Wednesday on Shawn King's Your Mac Life. No kidding. Oh my God. So as I was saying, when they're, it says malware removal here at the bottom of this, but their database is either from March 9th, 2018, or it's from September 3rd, 2018. Regardless, that's a long time for a database to be updated, to not have been updated. So I sent them an email and they said, yes, our database gets checked against the malware databases on a regular basis. There have been no new malware since September 3rd. They're using the European way of writing dates. They use the the day, month, year, as opposed to us here in North America, where we use the month, day, year. But no new threats have been found, so the database hasn't been updated. So I told them, first of all, they should use the localization for the dates. That way the user will know when it was. And secondly, I said, you might as well update the database whenever you check it, so the user will look at this and go, oh, okay, it was updated yesterday. But that's not that big a deal. The problem with this one is that unless I have malware, I don't know if this works. I'm going to assume it works. I'm going to assume that the folks at CleanMyMac know what they're doing, but unless I actually have a malware threat, then I don't know whether or not this particular version, this particular function of CleanMyMac actually works. There's a whole bunch of optimization stuff. There are things that maintenance-wise that your Mac is running in the background that you may not know about that you can tell CleanMyMac to run on your behalf. It can remove login items. One of the things I liked about it, I found a bunch of things that were being started up at login whenever I rebooted my computer that I didn't want anymore, apps I didn't use or functions that I didn't use anymore. And this login items optimization showed me those, and I could turn them off and even delete them. Same with launch agents. These are all the different things that get turned on when I start my computer. I could turn off a bunch of those, and it will tell me what the heavy consumers of my system profile are. Obviously, right now, it's Wirecast, Safari, and the Google Talk plugin. It'll also do uninstall, so when you find apps that you no longer want to use or need to use, you can uninstall those apps and save space that way, whether that app is something like let me see, DaVinci Resolve. If I delete this, I'll save almost 3/4 of a gigabyte. Analog Effects Pro. I don't use these apps anymore. TomTom Home. Graphic Converter 10. There's a bunch of apps here that I don't use anymore, but I could easily save a few gigabytes if I deleted them. Interestingly enough, it'll also show you apps that need updating. Now, if you use the Mac App Store a lot, you'll notice that it will pop up and tell you you've got 9 updates ready. But those are not mostly, those are a function of apps you've downloaded from the Mac App Store. If you download apps from the developer themselves, like I tend to do, that doesn't show up in the Mac App Store, but it will show up here in CleanMyMac. So it tells me that I haven't updated Pages in a while. Keynote, Mars Edit has an update. I didn't know that, so I'll happily update Mars Edit. Raw Power is a photo app that I use that I'll update. There's a couple other apps in here that I didn't get any list. My favorite recipe app, I didn't know that had an update, so I will update all these things coming up soon. It'll also find large and old files. Now, the downside of this is it won't find those files on external hard drives. Now, I say downsides because most of the time my large files, video files, iTunes libraries, that kind of stuff, are on an external hard drive. I've got an SSD drive on this iMac. I don't want to filling it up with things that I don't use very often or large files. So I move those off the SSD drive onto an external hard drive. but this can't find those. And I've asked the folks at CleanMyMac if that's going to be a feature in the future, and they said yes, they're going to be working on that, but no details as to when it's going to happen. And then finally, there's the shredder. You can securely delete documents, files, folders, whatever it is that you want to do. How secure this is, I'm not going to vouch for it or verify it. I don't know if it's going to be the FBI, NSA levels, or anything else like that, or whether it's just a feel-good thing. CleanMyMac is an interesting app. The visuals of it are really good. I like the look of it. It's a great app to remind folks that they need to do some of these things, and it will help in uninstalling and saving some space on hard drives, but again, not external hard drives. This is the kind of app that would be great if you are the tech support person for a few folks in your household who aren't techies, that once a month, once a week, you could set this up on their computer and it would run automatically, or you would run it on their behalf. You can also set various features of the app to tell you when to clean things up. There is a menu item where it tells me how much available space I've gotten on my internal drives, tells me how much space, how much memory I'm using, tells me how much CPU I'm using, what the temperature of my CPU is. It shows some things like that that may or may not be of interest to average users. Overall, this is not an app I would recommend to everybody. But if it's a problem that you have, if you find yourself constantly having to clean up your internal hard drive or your internal SSD drive, this can definitely be something that would be worthwhile. One of the good news things about CleanMyMac is that the folks at macpaw.com/CleanMyMac, they've got a free download. So you can test it out yourself. You can go to the website at macpaw.com/CleanMyMac, click on the free download button, and it will show you what it can do. So no harm, no foul. Give it a try and see what you think of it. What do folks in the IRC chat room say about it? Anything? MacMan says he used to use Monolingual to remove language files, which was an app that I used to use as well. Mark Denikin, I have CleanMyMac 3. Is the upgrade worth it? Mark, it is worth it depending on how much it costs, but it is worth it because it does a bunch of new things and it does a bunch of things faster too. I played around with CleanMyMac in the day and found that it slowed my system down, or it could slow my system down. I've had it running for the past week and haven't noticed anything, no slowdowns in the background. So that may be an issue for you. Monty says, since I haven't done a nuke and pay my 17-inch PowerBook in a long time, it would be interesting to see what this program finds on it. Yeah, for the older machines, like I said, for Melissa's old MacBook Air, it would be interesting to run this kind of stuff on it. When I first ran it, when I was testing it last week, I think it cleaned up 5 gigabytes of junk. Again, because I generally keep my system, my internal system, fairly clean because my drives are small on the internal. I would love to see this run on my external drives. I'm sure there's just a buttload of gunk there. In the future, I'd like to see CleanMyMac fold in some other things. I'd love to get a duplicate finder. I've got photos all over several hard drives. I'd love to find an app that's like CleanMyMac that fits in with CleanMyMac to do a duplicate photo finder. That would be a big deal for me. So let's give away a copy or two of CleanMyMac. Thanks very much to the nice folks at MacPaw for making this possible. They gave me some codes I can give away to you nice folks. All I got to do is hang on, give Melissa back up.
Oh, it's okay.
No, it's not. No, it's not okay. You've got to be up on the show. Geez, the audience doesn't look at my face all show long. Hang on a second. DG, there she is. My beautiful wife. There she is. Okay, hang on a second. See, because you're integral to this contest thing. Go ahead.
I didn't think my MacBook Air was old.
Do you know how to find out how old your MacBook Air is?
Well, I'm going up and seeing what version it is.
When you go up to about this Mac, what does it say?
It says version 10.13.3.
10.1, so 10.13.3.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then below that, what does it say?
It says 13-inch early 2015.
2015?
Yeah.
Oh, this iMac is 2014. Yours is newer than mine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just want to clarify that.
Yes, clarification accepted. Thank you very much for that clarification. So what we're going to do is I'm going to open up our virtual hat. Remember, you can always get an entry, a free entry into our virtual hat simply by going to the website at yourmaclifeshow.com. Right there at the top of the page, you can see Friends of YML contest entry form. You put your name into the form. It sends me an email, and then whenever we do a contest, I take those emails, drop them all into a virtual hat, and then do a name draw for those. So I'm just trying to find the folder. There we go. All right. I am not looking. I'm scrolling up and down, up and down, up and down. You say stop. Oh, come on, lady.
Stop.
Jeez. This is going to go out to Jeffrey Comey. Jeffrey Comey, that sounds familiar. Jeffrey, you have won a copy of CleanMyMac 10 for OS. Oh, it's also a Mojave ready, capable. And what else was there? Something else about it. What?
No relation to the former head of
the FBI. I was going to say, that's what the name sounds familiar.
Mm-hmm.
It's ready for Mojave. The folks at MacPaw wanted me to mention that. So Jeff, I'll send you out a code to get your own copy of CleanMyMac. On next week's show, we'll do a couple more draws as well too. In our starting point photography segment on the show, Apple has they've done this a few times. What Apple does is they seed professional photographers with iPhones well before they send them out to regular reviewers, because they know that the iPhone, the professional photographers need time to do this stuff. They got to fit it in with a regular schedule and that kind of stuff. Austin Mann, austinmann.com, AustinMann.com. Austin's been involved in this for at least 3, if not more, iPhones. So he's got a good relationship with the folks at Apple. Austin took his iPhone XS to Zanzibar. So he just didn't pick up and go that day. This was something that he had planned for a while. So Austin went off to Zanzibar with the iPhone XS. Another very well-known photographer is a guy named Pete Souza, Portuguese, by the way.
Oh.
Pete was the official White House photographer for Ronald Reagan and for Barack Obama. So any official photos that you saw of Reagan and Obama were taken by Souza or one of his team.
I know that name, yeah.
Some of the most famous shots of Obama were taken by Souza. The amazing photo of the little black kid feeling Obama's head. You saw Obama
when Obama's
in front of the Resolute desk. And the story behind that was the kid said, "Is your hair like mine?" And Obama bent over to let the little kid rub his hair, and Souza took that picture. The hell was that for?
Because I miss Barack Obama. Sorry, but
one of the interesting things about Obama, or Souza's photography of Obama, compared to Bush's official photographer, I've often wondered where the truth in this is. I don't believe that George Bush was an unfeeling man. I don't believe that he was. I don't believe he was a very smart man.
No.
I don't believe that he didn't have a personality. That he didn't. I'm going to say this the wrong way, but he didn't feel human in the Oval Office. The pictures of George Bush, in my opinion, did not show his humanity. It showed him as the POTUS, as the official person, the representative of the. All his photos, he felt very stiff, and maybe that's because he was being photographed. Some people just are not comfortable. Fine. So I'm not making a judgment on Bush. I'm making more of a judgment on his photographer. Whereas Obama was completely different. I think Souza is the first time that the White House official photographer became known because of his wonderful photography. They'll become known because the famous picture of Lyndon Johnson on Air Force One taking the oath of office with Jackie Kennedy behind him with the blood spatter dress. That guy became famous because of that photo, but it was because of that photo. Where Souza, because of his shots of Obama, and they were wonderful. They showed this wonderful joy and humanity in Obama. Like I said, I believe Bush had too. It just didn't come across in his photography. So I really like Souza's photographic style. And so Apple gave him an iPhone X10 as well. Terry was teasing me because I keep calling it X or 10, or it's just annoying. Monty says he's too much of an introvert. That's possible. You know, that's certainly why Bush didn't photograph as well. So these guys go off with their cameras to take pictures. Now, the reason why Apple gives these guys these cameras is because Apple wants them to go out, take good pictures, but also, I got to believe, to show off the capabilities of the camera. You think that's, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, yes.
That's why Apple is doing this. They want you to show the camera in its best possible light and show people what the camera can do.
I'm surprised they take such a lofty approach. You know, like before when they did those YouTube promotional things of the iPhone 10, why don't they give the camera just to folks and say, go see?
You stole my thunder on that.
Oh,
thank you very much.
Oh,
I'm now covering up your face so you can't. Well, so here's the photos that Austin Mann took. And I got to tell you, I'm not impressed. Melissa, these were the shots that I showed Melissa and didn't tell her who the photographer was. And I think I showed, and so you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I showed that these photographs aren't that special. That these are photographs that if I gave anybody with even the slightest bit of a photographic eye that camera, they could take these same shots. These are, if you go to Zanzibar, these are the shots you're going to take at Zanzibar. These are the shots everyone's going to take at Zanzibar. If you're walking on the beach and you see that hole, if you've got any kind of photographic eye and you see off in the distance a boat, you're going to wait for a boat to come to that hole. So the photo didn't impress me. This is another shot that, well, I like the shot. I like the composition of the shot. He could have at least edited out the second sun to make it not look like we're on
the
Tatooine.
Zanzibar on the other planet.
It's a simple edit in Snapseed, and that you were asking what causes that. It's the light bouncing around inside the camera and causing a double reflection of it. That doesn't show off the iPhone. That doesn't show off the iPhone in its best light. MacMan says, I've taken better than that shot, to be honest. Yeah, I agree. Another one of his, hey, do you? Where's the shots go? Why do I have a red edit link in there? What the hell? Oh, for crying out loud. Hang on. Why is this Austin Mann link going to red edit? That was just confusing. So then he took shots that rightfully showed off what the iPhone and the iPhone XS could do. The iPhone is the shot on the left, and all the highlights are blown out. You're shooting into brightness. And the iPhone S didn't blow out the highlights. Okay, great. Fantastic. That's one of the things a lot of folks are saying about the iPhone XS, that it doesn't blow out the highlights. Okay, that's fine. That's great. Except here's another shot that I showed this picture to you, and one of the problems we both of us have with this shot, here's the full version of it, his horizon is dead center.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of those things that every photographer knows that you don't do.
Mm-hmm.
You don't put your horizon dead center.
Yeah.
But this is another shot that anybody can take.
Mm-hmm.
If you're sitting on the beach, if you're in the water, this is a shot that is an obvious shot to take.
Beautiful sky, beautiful water, beautiful boat.
It's an easy shot to
Easy.
take.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to skip that one for the time being. So here's another one of his shots. You said you like this shot.
I just love that color. That's
Yes.
one of my favorite colors. So the color captures me.
Lovely color.
Beautiful.
No story behind it
I
whatsoever.
could do that.
There's no story to this
No
image.
story. Kind of like maybe a piece of fence that is maybe a gate.
That's what Monty says. The color is
Oh.
nice, but why? What's the story?
Yeah.
Well, it turns out this is the door of a prison island in Zanzibar.
Mm.
Well, you didn't tell me that through the story of the photo.
No.
Tell me the story.
Mm.
I could see if you'd done a long shot and then this shot, but this shot itself, there's no story there.
There isn't
for
a
me.
story, you know.
This is another example of a nice shot.
Nice shot.
Nothing special about it.
Not really.
This is not Austin Mann world famous photographer worthy. This is a shot I would take if I was in Zanzibar and saw a turtle.
Mm-hmm, me too. Because of you, I would get right down. I would get close. Fill the frame.
Another lovely shot,
Mm-hmm.
but
I love the texture in that of the ocean. But
nothing special. This is an obvious shot. If you're on the beach in Zanzibar and the sun's going down, this is the picture everyone's going to take.
mm-hmm. Oh, well, that's a shot everyone would take. Is that horizon crooked?
Yes, he's got a couple where his horizon is crooked.
Mm-hmm.
This is just simply a boring sunset shot.
It kind of is one of those boring ones. Oh, okay, you had to be there.
Yeah, I mean, is this Hawaii? Is this Florida? Is this Zanzibar?
Oh, it is nice. Mark's saying, come on, Shawn, it's nice. It is. It's lovely. It tells the story, I'm sure. But
Mark, it is a nice
yes.
picture, but it's not the picture worthy of an Austin Mann or showing off the capabilities of the iPhone 10. Sorry, the 10s. You understand what I'm saying, Mark? That this is what Apple gave him this 2 weeks before they gave it to anybody else, and these are the pictures you took. Big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this is an average everyday picture that anybody would have taken if you're on a spice farm in Zanzibar.
Is this his point? Is this the point that he's trying to make?
That's not what he's saying in the
okay.
articles.
Okay. I don't really. Yeah.
I get the point. There's a tree growing to the side of the building, which is kind of cool, but there's this light post in the way. You got the beautiful blue of that door, and you have this really cool texture in the building. But why is there a light post in the middle of it? Dude, move to the left and take a different shot.
Don't like it.
There's the blue door. Okay, so we've done all these. So now another thing that people were raving about, and a lot of folks liked justifiably. So Apple has this new function of the new iPhones where you can slide the f-stop back and forth to increase or decrease the f-stop. The f-stop number, the lower the f-stop number is, the blurrier your background will be. That's just a general statement. The higher your f-stop number is, the clearer your background will be. So in this photo, you can see the background. And by the way, this is a great shot.
I love it.
He's got a great face, a great smile,
face,
fantastic light. Hang on, let me show this picture, people. Fantastic light. But again, this is an easy shot to take. This is the shot everyone's going to take on that boat with the sun setting.
It's a beautiful time of day.
Guy smiling at you,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's great.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing special about the composition of this image. So now Austin is showing off the slider of the new photo software, going from the f2.8 all the way up to f22. I think this one, if I look at it correctly, hang on a second, I think this one is f22. Didn't say. Oh, crap. I'm going to assume it's a high f-stop because the background is oh no, f16. It says here at the bottom, f16. That's fine. That's great. So this is where the artistry of the photographer comes into play. Before the iPhone XS, you had to, on say a DSLR, set your aperture ahead of time, your f-stop ahead of time, and then that was it. You couldn't change it afterwards. Now you can change it, make your background blurrier or less blurrier.
Right.
And so you choose what you want to show off. So I like that. But the problem is, take a look at this. So this is f16. So when you decrease the f-stop from f16 to f4.5, you see how the background gets blurry?
Mm-hmm.
This guy back here gets much, much blurrier. That's the function of the f-stop. We go all the way down to f1.4, and the guy in the background is completely blurry. But so's the guy's shirt.
Oh, did it go blurry?
Look at the shirt.
Oh, no.
I guess I can't zoom in any more than that. But if you look at this shot online, watch his shirt as they go from f1.4 up. See, it was his shirt.
Oh, yeah.
His shirt should not have, if this was a DSLR camera, his shirt would not have gotten blurry because the f-stop meant that everything in that plane should have stayed in focus.
Interesting.
So what Apple's doing with the f-stop adjustments isn't actually changing the background. It's just increasing or decreasing the blur on the guy's face.
Oh. Okay. So it's not really an f-stop thing.
Exactly. That's right. That's right. So I really was not, and just to be clear, I don't hate Austin Mann. As some people accuse me of online, I don't know Austin Mann, never met the guy. He's done some really good stuff for Apple. He's done this kind of thing for Apple on many, many occasions. And so I intentionally didn't link to this story on The Loop because I didn't think the photography was very good. Like I said, it wasn't worthy of Austin Mann. But I did find a article from the Daily Mail, and I got chewed out for using the Daily Mail too. I was like, oh, I can't do anything right. Former White House photographer Pete Souza releases the first pictures taken using Apple's new iPhone X. Now, this has got its own issues. One of the problems with this one was the Daily Mail, for some bizarre reason, seems to have really blown up the photographs. So they're really blurry, really JPEG artifacts. If you go to Pete Souza's Instagram account, you'll see these photos. They're very clear. They're not nearly as ugly as they are here. But their JPEG compression quality is not what I'm talking about here. For me, it's the actual photography. Souza shows, I think this is a great shot. I've been in this spot. I've stood in this spot and seen this view. He's doing this in the late evening, shooting in low light conditions with the iPhone. This is at the tomb of the unknown soldier. There's motion and movement in the shot. You can see
I like that one.
The soldier moving. I don't actually like the photo because he's got the wreath is covered up. The wreath covers up this bit. If he had stood a little bit more to the side, say to the right-hand side, he could have gotten the text of this and the wreath. If
I don't mind that. That's just because you're a Greystone reader.
Right. That's right. This is a wonderful shot. Now I don't know if you can see this on the show, on the video, but it's really grainy up here. It's awful. I don't think that's Pete Souza and the iPhone. I think this is a factor of the JPEG compression that the Daily Mail put on it when they put it on the website. But I think this is a great shot. This is a shot that a lot of tourists don't get. What we tend to do as tourists is we tend to walk into a space like this with these busts, with these heads, go to one of the heads and take a picture of the face, as if we were taking a picture of someone else's face. Look for this. This is that leading line thing we've talked about on the show on many occasions. This is a great aspect of leading lines and knowing how to use your camera, because Pete Souza would have pointed his camera at this scene, and I guarantee you the iPhone would have wanted to focus on maybe the second or third bust. But Pete tapped on his screen and told the iPhone, no, focus on this thing on the far left-hand side. Try that next time you're taking iPhone photographs. Tap on the screen on the place where you want your iPhone to focus, and it'll focus on that one spot as opposed to somewhere a third of the way into your shot. And the way he stood so that you have this wonderful leading line from the first head, the first nose, all the way down the line. I think it's a really good image. This is at the Lincoln Memorial. I think this is another great shot because it shows the black and white capabilities of the iPhone XS, which Austin Mann didn't do. There wasn't a single black and white shot in Austin Mann's group of photos. This is another one of those shots that I've been to this spot. I've stood in this place. And I love the fact that you could see the people in the foreground, but the brightness of Lincoln in the background, it's like there's a light being shined on it. I think it's a really good shot. This one he's at a protest. This is an obvious shot for a professional, not for the average tourist, but for a professional. You wait for the person's signs to frame the Capitol building. That's the idea of patience in your shot. I'd love to talk about this shot and see, were you standing there for a long time? Did you think about the shot, or was it an instantaneous kind of shot? But the framing of the Capitol building with the two signs is wonderful. This one, I'm biased because I just don't like Jackson Pollock. I think, this is probably a fairly mundane kind of photo. It's kind of obvious, someone walking in front of a big photo. So I'll ding him on that one. This is another really nice shot where you tap on the foreground image and it makes the background image really blurry. And you could do it the other way around too. I tell folks that do both. Take your phone when you see this kind of stuff and tap on the foreground image and take the photo, but then tap on the background image and take the photo. Have the background image be blurry and the foreground image be in focus, because that might give you an interesting little effect if you give that a try. Love this shot of the where is this? This is the National Museum of the American Indian, and this is what that the Daily on one screen. This is a 30-inch screen. I had to scroll through this shot. It'd be much better if I could get it all in one shot. But again, this is black and white.
He has many Instagram accounts. Like, he has several different
Yeah,
ones.
he's got professional ones and personal ones and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Another great shot. This is the George Washington's oath of office on the Washington or Lincoln. No, I'm sorry. This is Lincoln. This is Lincoln's. But again, it's great. Look at the light from the left-hand side to the right-hand side, and again, it's in black and white. This is another example of how the framing of a shot makes a difference. And I wish that the Daily Mail hadn't blown this shot up so much. It's a nice shot. You can see what happened. He's probably just sitting on the top of the Lincoln Memorial steps and waiting for people to walk up them. But when you look down to the bottom of it, you see it says, "I have a dream. Martin Luther King Jr., the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom, August 28th, 1963. That in the same shot becomes much more powerful.
Oh, it really does. It's very unfortunate.
This is a nice shot, just all by itself.
But then when you scroll down, I go, oh, that says a lot.
So that's why I say the Daily Mail screwed this shot up. I think they screwed the other shots up as well. This is a hard shot. He even admits it. This is the Air Force Memorial. It's just a hard shot to get. But this is one of those shots that if I'm Apple, I'm like, no, dude, don't post that shot. It's just, it does show the different levels of blue you're getting in the image. So maybe that's why he put it up there. This is a giant moth. I can't critique it because it's really awful. I don't know if you can see it, but the JPEGing of it up here in the corners is just really terrible. I don't think that's a factor of the iPhone. a shot of someone doing a drawing on a chalkboard. I think this shot's kind of cool because it shows off the color, the low light capabilities, the color of the iPhone. This is a shot of the Hope Diamond. This is just a tourist shot. Nothing special about this shot.
Yeah, no.
It's just kind of cool. All these folks are taking pictures of the Hope Diamond. This was the one that blew me away. When I first saw this, I thought, wow, how is he taking electron microscope?
It looks like a macro. Yeah.
How is he taking those kinds of shots with the iPhone? But it turns out, as Monty correctly guessed, it's a cactus. It's a cactus shot in black and white and cut and shot really, really closely. This shows off the iPhone.
It does.
Nothing Austin Mann did showed off the iPhone.
You didn't show that one that Austin Mann did with the water crashing sort of more.
It wasn't on his page. It was on the Austin Mann page, and he didn't include it.
Okay.
Lincoln Memorial again, nice shot. Okay shot of the Capitol building. Another shot that's too big for this image. This is just a creepy shot. I don't want to go with that one. Let's see that. I think that's pretty much it. So that for me is the difference. And what you said, I've always believed this. Apple should take an average person, someone who's got a good eye, someone who's, a decent enough photographer, but take that person, give them an iPhone XS, give them an iPhone XS Max. Let's see what the average person can do. I expect good images from professional photographers. You should, in theory, be able to give a pro any camera. You should be able to give a pro an iPhone 4, and he can get great shots. So it doesn't impress me that you gave a great camera to a great photographer, and guess what? He made great shots. Give photos to Melissa, who has a good eye and is learning about photography. Let her experience what a good camera would be. Let her show off those kinds of things. Give them to the people. Apple has done the Shot on iPhone campaign. They've had it on billboards all over New York and LA. Give the iPhone XS to those people.
Yeah, and see what they take.
See what they take.
Yeah, it's just lofty to give it to these guys that are so famous.
No. Monty says, none of these images were jaw-droppingly good, especially from those two people.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with you. I think the cactus shot was great from Pete Souza. The I Have a Dream shot was great from Pete Souza, but that was a compositional issue. But those are not images that make me want to run out and buy an iPhone XS, even though I know the camera is significantly better than even the iPhone X. You had something you wanted to talk about.
Oh, well, I just wanted to share that I have a lovely friend right now who's traveling in Italy, and she's posting I said post pictures, and she's posting pictures that I'm going, oh, Shawn, I don't want to go to Florence anymore. They're just awful. They make it look dirty, and they're just and it's, I'm not meaning to be judgy or, my goodness, she's loving it, but I'm looking at them and going, these are just terrible photographs, just awful. And looking at what she could do, and it's nice to lay in bed with you and go, oh my gosh, look at this one, and she could have done this and this and this, and interesting, right? So she's going to be coming back with a bunch of. The
thing with her photos is, and this is just only slightly patting myself on the back, if she just knew a bit more.
If she had a half a dozen of your simple guidelines, her photographs would be wonderful. I mean, they couldn't not be, right? She's in Florence.
You're in a beautiful city.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why we're going to Lisbon, because we're going to be in a beautiful city. You're guaranteed, if you listen to me, you're guaranteed of getting some good shots.
Yeah.
Your friend took a picture of a statue in Florence. I had the exact same picture of when I was in Florence. And she's done that thing that so many beginners do. She's focused on the center of the image. It's a beautiful, amazing, amazing statue. The rape of, I think, the rape of Lucretia, I think it is. Awful subject matter, but beautiful marble sculpture. But but she's cut off. The Lucretia is reaching up to the sky for saving, and there's two men are trying to pull her down, and she's cut off Lucretia's hand and the feet on the statue. So she's lost a lot of the oomph of the statue. She's done a couple of things which I see tourists do all the time. Like I said in the Pete Souza shot of the busts of the heads, tourists tend to walk into a space, see something pretty, and then they stop. Like the feet get nailed to the ground. There was that shot she took of this wonderful street scene of a market.
Yes.
From probably 25 feet away.
Well, she probably went, oh, that's such a charming little bit. And I straight away said, oh, she could have gone in and just got that close-up, colorful, beautiful image, not of the whole storefront.
Knowing Florence,
a piece of it.
I know exactly what happened. She's walking down the street. She turned a corner. She saw that, went, I have to take a picture. But her feet got nailed to the ground.
Yes.
So she couldn't move until she took a picture, went click, and then she walked off. If only she had moved in 10, 15 feet.
Yeah.
If only she had moved to the left a couple of feet, she would have had this beautiful shot of this gorgeous fruit stand with the wine bottles in the background. Would have had a fantastic shot.
Yeah.
The other thing that you brought up that I struggle to impress on people about going to Lisbon is tell folks what you said about her photos when she comes back.
Oh, about I want to talk to her. What? Hanging them on the wall. Well, that was because now we have these plans to do this, and we had an incredible journey and experience in Australia. And I'd want to say to her, which ones would you choose that you could put up on the wall that would remind you of that incredible ambiance and that Florence experience that you had?
There's really not much there.
There isn't. And for me, looking at saddens me. I think, no. There's not going to be many that she would be able to take and represent them up on the wall of her home. I don't mean many. I mean a few from here, a few from there. So it's kind of sad. I feel sad about that.
It was funny you saying, I don't want to go to Florence now. Because
I looked at the pictures and went, it looks kind of creepy and dull, and I don't want to go there now.
She took a picture of the Arno River that runs through Florence, the beautiful Ponte Vecchia Bridge.
In the background.
And then in the foreground, behind her.
Oh.
She turned around and took a picture of a different bridge that's just this boring mud-colored water bridge.
It looks like awful. A swamp.
Yeah,
the river
awful.
looks, and I went, this just doesn't look as nice as what I thought it was going to be.
Don't post that picture. It's a shitty picture.
I'm just
going
to Lisbon now.
I got a friend who's also off traveling, and they posted, I think 3 or 4 days ago, they posted like 45 photos on Facebook.
65. It was 65. 70. It was like 70 photographs of this place.
See, I was lying about the number of photos. So
you don't lie.
So they wouldn't know we were talking about them. Now that you've told the exact number of photos, they know we were talking about them.
They're so sweet and lovely. They won't mind.
For that kind of stuff, to me, just post the ones that represent that moment. Not 15 photos of the same thing from different angles. Find your best photo and post that one photo. If you are looking at a monument, Statue of David's a perfect example. You don't need to show Statue of David from 15 different angles, right? You can shoot 15 different shots, but then pick the best one, the one that you like the most out of the bunch of that space. Don't post every single shot that you took of the Statue of David. There's no need. We all know what he looks like.
Yeah,
we want to know that you're there. And that
my friend's picture of him wasn't so bad. It was acceptable, but you can't go wrong, really.
So it's one of the things that I'm really, like I said, I'm really. MacMan says, but if she likes them, then the mission is accomplished.
Yeah.
But the problem is, and this is another thing I struggle, is people generally don't know a bad photograph until they're shown that what a good photograph is. So a perfect example is that street scene that she walked into. if she'd been there with us, this is Lisbon,
Mm-hmm.
and I do this all the time when I'm on a photo walk with a group. I'll see people do the tourist thing, which is stop, take a picture. I was like, no, get closer. And they go, oh, that's like they hadn't thought of it.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll walk closer and I'll say, what do you see? Don't take the picture yet. Look at the scene first. What do you see? And maybe there's someone walking down the street and they're wearing a really pretty blue dress that would work perfectly with your shot.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe there's someone who's going to walk into the middle of your shot before you take it. Look around first. Hey, maybe if I stood over here, I can get the shopkeeper walking out of his store with the wine bottles in the background. So look around. That's what I do. It's what I will do when we go on our walks in Lisbon in March 2019, is that's the idea. You'll have a professional photographer kind of looking over your shoulder and helping you out. You'll be able to go, hey, Shawn, where should I shoot this one? And I'll say, what do you want to represent? What do you want to see? Do you want to see a big picture, small picture? You want to move in closer? You want to get further? What do you want? And I'll coach you through the process of these shots. And then the best part of it is you'll start learning what makes a good photo. Your photos will become better. And then when you come home, you'll still have that knowledge. You'll still be able to take good photos. It's not a matter of taking good photos just in Lisbon. The knowledge you learn, you'll take good photos when you come home and when you're in San Francisco and in Toronto and in wherever else you might be. So don't think of it as just being this one trip. Think of it as going into a class where you're going to learn stuff. They're going to take, for every camera you use, for every situation you use, you'll get some more tips when you join us in Lisbon in March 2019. If you want more details, go to startingpointphotography.com. Remember the name of the hotel?
I have to get it in my head.
Tesoro de Baixa.
Tesoro de Baixa.
De Baixa.
De Baixa.
Got a wonderful, wonderful little
Tesoro
boutique
de
hotel.
Baixa.
It's in a central area in downtown Lisbon. Walking distance to a bunch of different things. There's a tram line that runs right by there that takes us off to the Hieronymus Monastery and the Belém Tower. We're going to go to the Castle São Jorge. We're going to go to Sintra, which is a beautiful, beautiful space. We're going to go to the Cabo da Roca, which is the westernmost spot in all of Asia, Europe and Asia. So this is going to be a lot of fun. You're going to enjoy yourself. So please find out more details at startingpointphotography.com or send me an email and I'll answer any questions that you might have. The hotel is dirt cheap. It's about $100, $110 a night for a single. I think a little bit more for a double. And they got a really good deal. They're giving us the non-refundable rate, but you can refund up to 30 days ahead of time. So they'll take a 20% deposit as soon as you make the reservation, but then you can still cancel up until 30 days before. So what you want to do when you book your reservation, book the non-refundable one, and then in the comment section say you're going on the Starting Point Photography Workshop, and then send me an email too, so I know that you're doing it, so I can make sure that everything is okay. If God forbid you had to cancel it. Well, that's it for tonight's show. We went extra long tonight. Thank you guys very much for being tuned in and listening to us, whether you're listening in by the archive or whether you tuned in to the show live and hanging out in the IRC chat room with all the other cool kids. Someone who we haven't seen in the IRC in a long time. Mark Denikin joined us.
Plus, I don't think
Mark is one of those guys. Mark is one of those, I don't know how this happens. I'd love to figure out how. Mark is another one of those nerdy, techie, geeky guys who's got a stunningly beautiful wife, just like me.
Oh, right.
See what I did there?
Uh-huh. Yeah, he's going to be in the good books now.
Well, so am I, too. Mark is so am I.
You too, silly.
Mark, Mark's wife is just gorgeous. So thanks for joining us again, Mark. I haven't seen you in a while, buddy. Hopefully everything is well with you and the family.
Fuck yeah, he says.
Exactly. So until next week, as always, I've been Shawn King.
I'm Melissa King.
And you've been listening to Your Mac Life. Thanks for joining us, folks. See ya.
Bye.